Steam is the personal computer's big hoss when it comes to purchasing video games, so out of curiosity, for the first time in my life, I wanted to look at what rot can be found on it. You know, the games pounded with negative reviews or AI-filled demons you can download if you so choose, like Epstein, the video game. This is one of those games anyone can view the art of and immediately be prepared to spend their $2.99 to embark on an elaborate journey without a second thought. I, of course, spent the couple bones to sit upon the ripcord, creating my little character. Shockingly, I wasn't expecting that, honestly. I tried my darndest to build a humanoid version of Slimer from Ghostbusters, if you couldn't tell, and immediately, wow. The last time I felt this immersed into anything at all was when I used Kling AI to generate myself a house made out of mountain lion meat that I hunted with my makeshift spear. I say that because, unsurprisingly, a plethora of visuals for Epstein are AI generated. How many is only a guess. On the store page, it says artificial intelligence was used in the cover photo and visuals of the game. But if you're gonna use AI art as the cover and for the promotional pictures while charging money, I'm more than positive you were cranking out generation prompts minute by minute to give us all of our weapons, items to grab, air to breathe, and ground to walk on. If this was a free one-man army project, the AI usage could get a slight pass. Unfortunately, that isn't the case though. People need to buy this, so you can kick rocks with that. Now, to focus on the gameplay, being upfront with how my quest actually went, I realized shortly into it, humanoid Slimer was going to have a hard time living in these streets. Any combat scenario my favorite watermelon candy would partake in typically ended with him getting eaten alive, thanks to the clunkiness of combat and sheer tankiness of the muscle houses I was battling. Not to say it's impossible or anything. If the scuffle was a one-on-one, I could handle it. My problem was when multiple enemies came into the fray. Trying to battle a group of these island dwellers is climbing Mount Everest naked. Slimer can only do so much in the war zone before getting introduced to the granulated rocks. It gets even worse when archers are a part of those said groups. These Robin Hood save the people ass enemies have some sort of interdimensional training method to have the aim they do, or they have an untested aimbot. These guys literally cannot miss you if they have line of sight, creating a pretty frustrating situation. And as expected in a survival game, when you get destroyed, you lose everything. All of your weapons, items, materials, whatever was in your satchel, gone. However, you can go back and get your stuff sometimes. More often than not, your body disappears. I'm not sure if that's supposed to happen because occasionally my body won't vanish. I don't know. Whenever I died, I assumed all my stuff was gone, making the progression become a literal slog due to it being reset constantly unless I made a chest, put all my stuff in it, kept going back, repeating that process, sticking an ungodly amount of time in, building myself up to become an ultimate killing machine, which is a gameplay loop I know some people like. I'm not really the biggest fan. These games make me like Wings of Redemption, throwing controllers and punching walls, so my enjoyment engines weren't being greased up, overflowing into a whole new plane of existence. For me, it was more like testing a noodle from a boiling pot and burning your mouth on the macaroni. Still, in a weird way, I could see a player unironically having a decent time with this game if you can look over the low effort asset flipping / AI generation thing that these people are charging money for. I know those said players traditionally like it when the game is a good, well-made title that isn't cutting corners like a kindergartner's peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but that isn't what we're given here, now is it? I sadly went over the refund limit on this one, and I didn't even make it to the first boss fight. I continuously lost to the janitorial piñatas that would mop my floors, so I had to keep restarting, running around gathering materials, repeating this loop, sitting there thinking to myself, why is this game even called Epstein to begin with? A digitized version of him doesn't exist in the game from what I looked into. Nothing really mentions him, and you'd figure if we're in the vicinity of his homeland, you'd have pictures of him lacerated on the enemy's skin, murals would be strung up everywhere to signify his glory, but there's nothing aside from smooth-stoned environments made out of clay. Then, over time, the real reason dawned on me. It's just a simple way to get attention by using one of the devil's archdemons that walked among us in order to push a sale. And if that's not enough, I did see in the reviews some players claiming this to be a crypto miner as well. If that happens to be the case, is it really surprising? It shouldn't be. The crust tells you enough to assume the inner workings is going to be infecting our system with a disease. So, with all this in mind, if you were still, for whatever reason, on the fence, thinking, oh, well, there's slight thought put into this, you can go mining, you can craft some supplies, feed the chickens, and do other stupid things, there's no way these guys would want to release a costless cash grab. Well, what if I told you these guys made another game reusing most of the assets that were either flipped or AI generated, featuring a different demonic figure in society? Here we have Diddy, the video game, clocking in at $7.99. And in this classic, you can again make your own character, or you're supposed to have the ability to do it. I guess they forgot to put in other choices for clothing, so rather than customizing a character, we have classes to pick from that don't matter at all. The only thing it does is change your starting weapon that will end up breaking in a matter of time anyways because of how many enemies you are required to whack to death or shoot with your gun, all of which are brought straight over from Epstein. As with the amount of health enemies have, the HUD, menus, everything aside from the visual layout and character models are exactly the same. They even recycled the crafting, which doesn't even make sense for why it's here. You don't even need to use it, but I guess if you're gonna copy paste, you don't want to change too much. The only item I smithed up was the Eminem sword to accomplish my oh so challenging objectives like kill enemies, open boxes to get items, then kill more enemies, and open more boxes. The gameplay loop is equivalent to dropping the head of a sledgehammer straight on the top of your skull when it comes to interest level, but with my reluctance to make any actual progress in Epstein, I wanted to try my best to take down the higher power known as Diddy. I felt like it was my duty to do so. The game's nothing more than slicing and dicing, murdering the same few meat sponges, and even when the difficulty level is goo goo gaga, I still can't make it through because the game's softlocked. Upon completing a repeat objective of collecting items out of chests, the objective didn't complete and there was nothing I could do aside from roam the glossy streets of Diddy Land, Diddy Island, whatever this mystical landscape is. It's not to say I didn't try to take matters into my own hands, because as I was exploring, I did discover this hooligan wielding his great oak hidden within one of the chambers of this mansion that was invincible for some reason. Is this Diddy, or was it a random person that was unkillable due to a bug? I honestly have no idea what was happening here, nor will I ever be able to figure it out, since I'm not going to deal with this mind-numbing boredom again. There's plenty more to come on the plate that are somehow below the standards of these two games, believe it or not. If you are in the mindset of these things being the worst games ever, they only scrape the surface. But in closing, for these games about gremlins of our society, the one thing that pisses me off the most about this whole conundrum is definitely Epstein. I know the person making it didn't give a rat's ass, but if you're gonna make a game about this guy, why could you not call it Epstein and create a game where you storm the island to slaughter him after he rose from his tomb? You gotta build a universe of your own while trying to con people out of money. That's the 2026 play, buddy. Think about it. If you created that game, later down the road, you could have brought in a prequel where we play as the cops trying to catch his bitch ass. But no, instead we gotta play make pretend officer with something like Police Car Simulator, another game using the flashiest cover art imaginable. It sold for 99 cents, so my expectations weren't too high, yet I was still led into a tunnel of disappointment. If you're gonna sell a game for any money at all, could you at least try to make a play I'll remember 10 minutes after shutting the game off? My surreal experience was walking to my trusty dusty automobile, having the option to enter mission 1, 2, or 3, to then follow arrows on the ground, reaching a rectangle, bringing the mission to a close. All 3 missions are the same. You have no real unlockables aside from changing the color of your windows or adding a light to the bottom of your car, and the only other thing you can do outside of missions is driving through a speed gate at 160 kilometers per hour. Shouldn't you be stopping other people from doing this? You know, because you're a cop? Unless Police Car Simulator is actually an abusive power simulator, I've seen plenty of cops throughout my life turn their sirens on to get through a red light. Who knows at this point? All I can say is, the bandit who created this luxurious piece of software is basically selling a GTA Street Cruise for $1, meaning you could either buy this or a candy bar. And honestly, even though the Kit Kat was created using a machine, I'm sure the cogs powering it have more of a soul than this game does. You know why? The gamer that created Police Car Simulator has over 20 games that are clones of each other, reusing almost every asset between each other. I was lucky enough to get this game and also the hot new police car armored cop simulator everyone has been talking about in a bundle for $1.48. And Police Car Armored Cop Simulator is the same game. Same car models, buildings, roads, and objective. The only differences are the vehicle you're driving, you can change the suspension on it, which does nothing at all, and there are different paint jobs to spend your paste eater earned money on. Other than that, it's another $1 for the same piece of rot you just played before. I love how on the Steam page they put an update saying NPCs are now optimized with multi-language support, making the police simulation experience even more realistic and immersive, when the game doesn't have any interactable NPCs. All you have are the fellow vehicles surrounding your rocket monster. To some, this whole situation is unsurprising. When looking through the prestige master trenches of Steam, these types of games are bound to be discovered. The $1 sludge soldiers in the front lines, so it's a $1 what do you expect situation to them. But in this era, you can find some pretty solid games that cost nothing at all, those being on Steam or fan-made games online. Not to say all of them are the ultimate thronehead of gaming, obviously. Look at fucking Tower of Ether, a free-to-play legendary gaming endeavor of turning it on, you connect to a server, click open door, type a random number between 1 and 9, get shown an item, then you need to wait a whole ass hour to do it again with nothing more to it. Why would you do this? What are you trying to do to people? Why make them question the reasoning for your game's creation instead of letting them witness glory? But hey, at least they made an actual title screen. That's more than Big Theft Valhalla could do. When you turn a game on and the first thing you see is a stretched, blurry in-game screenshot rather than having a dedicated background, that's how you know it's a trek even the greatest of greats in history would want to go through. General George S. Patton himself would have been honored to fight in the battle of a gamer's first use of Gary's Mod, tearing it up on a landscape of random buildings or roads with some not even connecting to the ground, witnessing victims of an ethereal mind control program doing burnouts on patches of sand and runways, with a carrot on a stick of going around collecting big bags of money for seemingly no reason at all. You can't spend it, we can't go inside of structures, there's no progression, you just travel, scouring the area for cartoon dollars. However, if you want to engage with local wildlife, that is a play you can make, an unreal feature in a game you spent money on, I know. You have a whole weapon wheel ready to rip, and you can shoot people walking around to shoot them. Worth the $2.99 if I say so myself. If for whatever reason you just cannot have enough of this, maybe you want some improvements, adding more clouds maybe, well, you're in luck, because we have Big Theft Valhalla 2 San Predatory. And look at that! we have a real main menu this time. If it wasn't obvious enough from a simple glance at Big Theft 2, the meta of these things is create one game by flipping assets using AI or both, then you clone it to create a quote-unquote new game, or sequel in this case. The lack of effort is astounding in a sense. It's truly a shame not all of us see video games the same way, but my favorite part of this whole debacle is when you get baited into thinking an attempt was made to improve the product, then a massive boot stomps right onto your Johnson, forcing it to shrivel back into your body. In the Big Theft sequel, you need to acquire guns by either making a purchase or robbing the store. Believe it or not, needing to get your hands on guns was a new thing. In Big Theft 1, you spawned with all of them immediately. I, of course, wanted to try living on the edge by activating my Sticky Fingers passive, which initiates the clones of myself and various other creatures in the area to retaliate, and that's when I discovered they forgot to add damage to enemies' bullets. I could literally stand there with my Pac-Man ass, gorging on anything tossed in my direction. The only way you can die is by Halo Combat evolving yourself, getting tapped by a vehicle. Games like this make me depressed. You can literally find better GTA clones than this for free that were made over a decade ago. Look at Crime Life 2. We got ZD-armed, doorknob-footed Dribbler 69 that can wreak havoc on this town. The cops will come, you can actually die, and there's piss-poor missions included. Yeah, the game kinda sucks, and I have no idea why the cars start getting flushed down the toilet after touching another automobile. Still, I'd rather play Crime Life than Big Theft. The sweat residue from effort shines through any and all issues you'd have with it. You think I want to spend money I could be dishing out at Charles Cheese on games like this? Fuck no I don't, but I did. And shockingly, it somehow wasn't even the biggest piss off for me. If I had to choose one from the treasure trove of games I got my hands on that made me want to tear my fingernails off with my teeth, it would for sure be Doom in the Dark, since the game crashed like 500 times in the span of 10 minutes, so I couldn't even play it. When I entered the first mission, I would walk into a hallway, zombies would come out, I obviously annihilate them, and whenever more would spawn, Doom in the Dark would shut right off. Apparently, my character is so goddamn powerful, his sheer existence sends anything and everything to the eternal void. All I wanted to do was assert myself on some zombies. Is it really too much to ask for? So with this dilemma I was having, I had to spend another whole 99 cents on the Faceless to scratch that mass murdering itch. This time, playing as a nameless soldier, waxing the absolute shit out of shadow men who stand in place in the backyards of houses in this rundown neighborhood. We're given one gun that shoots out oversized Advil tablets, and yeah. I'd love to know if it was a unique design choice to have the enemies not move, or what the thought process was. I kinda figured you'd want them to run the player's shit, rather than them being a mindless freakazoid standing still, occasionally remembering they were programmed to perform an action. At least we can get behind the wheel of a car though, right? That becomes sentient and speeds up when you get out of the driver's seat, also being the only type of car in this universe. The legendary tangerine on wheels. Fucking hell, man. Why are you selling this to people? I get the person buying it is only losing out on a few dollars, but can you try? Like, add a story. It can even be a page written in Comic Sans that appears before the game starts. You could have gotten the AI to do it if you didn't want to. You already used AI to make the title screen background. Just make something that's worth $1. Or how about Steam uses this game as a bone toss, letting us play it for free? That's what happened with Arabian Gulf. Instead of paying $3.99, it only costed a few taps of a mouse and the oxygen spent while I clicked on it, letting me wield my scimitar, viewing my prey T-posing in the distance, presumably as a mental training method for the chaos Robert Steele is about to unleash. My buddy Robbie here slashes at such a force, the whole camera needs to emphasize that slash. Nothing makes me happier than this. So it's a shame it all came to a close in record time. I initially got roped into this game, seeing enemies using handheld weaponry. I had my sword. I thought it was going to be a medieval war zone. Then I found an assault rifle to gun everyone down with. I guess it doesn't matter anyways. You don't need to kill anyone if you don't want to. You can conquer Arabian Gulf by treating it like a walking simulator. This game can be finished in under 10 minutes. Arabian Gulf is really making me want to play Epstein again, honestly. Regardless of the AI usage and that whole McDonald's grilling the Unity assets store, you're getting a smidge of unoriginal substance you can sit down, play, and somewhat enjoy, seriously putting the power of the Steam store front and center. You'll reach the surface of the trenches thinking, how could it get any worse? Then inevitably stumble into a rabbit hole of games that aren't games. To be blunt, they're wastes of time people are trying to sell and make money off of. Best of all, these $1, $2, $3 games aren't even the worst of it. During my crusade, I found this game called War Trains that is $200 fucking dollars. What is this game gonna do for me to cost that much? It appears no different than anything else we've looked at so far. I also found a game called The First Thrust of God that is $60, apparently being a scam of some kind. According to the reviews, it used to be cheaper, then the creator increased the price of the game, later revoking the keys, making refunds impossible. So the scamming could definitely be worse with a lot of these things we've looked at when it comes to the sheer price or other shenanigans, but the overarching goal is the same. Take that goddamn money, not giving a pig's titty about the person who bought it. It's a shameless practice that is comparable to trying your absolute hardest to copy another game in almost every way possible, like World War Legion, that is Call of Duty, but also not really. Well, you won't figure that out until you go past 2 screens trying to shove microtransactions down your throat. Typically, people moan if they exist at all, but this is literally the instant you open the game. Do I really want to financially support a game that looks like it ran Call of Duty Vanguard through an AI trainer to regurgitate its menus and class customization system? No joke, it's exactly the same. The menus, perk icons, weapon gunsmith, all of it. Better yet, the microtransaction currency they are using is COD points with a different name. When it comes to the skins you can purchase with that said currency, I'm not sure if they are entirely generated using AI. I'd need the people who are hawking every little pixel, sniffing it out like a bomb dog to tell. All I can say for myself is I wouldn't be surprised if the AAA kings are using it, like Battlefield 6 recreating the Call of Duty Ghost mask in their game. Do you actually think these underling developer warlords wouldn't? Look at the menu, and I think you can come to a conclusion. If you're wondering how World War Legion plays, it feels like a mobile shooter game, because it is. Really, World War Legion is a mobile game ported over to Steam. Ignoring that fact, the overall gameplay is what you'd expect if you've delved into the Call of Duty coal mines previously. Just imagine that experience, but you made it have a child with its older sister. You make your classes with the limited amount of weapons available. Curious, considering how the game released on September 2nd of 2025, so after about 4 to 5 months, there's only 6 to 7 guns total. You then take those said weapons, annihilating players on your 5 maps, earning your 3 kill streaks, or excuse me, kill chains, those being a plane that you throw and it explodes, an esoteric chain gun, and a nuke, repeating this cycle until you get bored. Needless to say, there's hardly any content in World War Legion, which is interesting. You guys are adamant on players buying microtransactions to support your game. What exactly are they supporting? I'm not seeing it. These thugs are sitting here shoving them in your face upon opening the game after finishing matches. The little half-baked campaign stuck in has part of the map that says, "This area is best with insert bundle," and the matchmaking itself tries to manipulate players to want to spend money. How do the streets know this? Well, the matches are filled with a plethora of bots, with the player not being informed of this at all. If you're experienced with shooters, it's pretty obvious to tell a lot of these are not real players. Their pathing and behavior makes it apparent almost instantly. However, if you look at it from the perspective of a hyper-casual, they're going to safely assume all the players in their lobbies are real humans because the game is set up as a traditional multiplayer environment. Chances are that said person is going to put the quote-unquote other players into lockers, building a fun multiplayer experience for them. And when a player has a good time, it increases the odds of them wanting to buy a battle pass or weapon skin due to the amount amount of fun they are having. We know for certain Call of Duty Mobile does this exact thing, so it seems to be a common theme with mobile shooters, filling lobbies with bots. I just neglected to realize how predatory this was when we looked at COD Mobile in my previous video about the Call of Duty handheld games. And there are some people out there who may think this tactic does not work, but it does. That's the reason manipulative matchmaking practices like skill-based matchmaking exist in regular COD games. Also, is it a coincidence most of the bots are using a microtransaction skin? Probably not. What they're doing may not appear like sewage initially. When you delve into it though, it truly feels dystopian, almost like an Alex Jones maxing moment. Maybe after a certain amount of playtime, you start running into real players consistently. If that happens to be the case, it still doesn't avoid the fact of what I'm saying. The nature of what's happening here is still the same. I played for about 5 hours and I only ran into a handful of real players. A majority of my time was going against the robotic mouth breathers that were programmed to walk the cloned streets of World War Legion, since again, just like almost everything we've talked about today, World War Legion is a copy of another game called Combat Master, which is a clone of the Modern Warfare style of Call of Duty games. And what a knee slapper of a play that is. You guys make Combat Master to copy Modern Warfare, then make World War Legion that is a clone of Combat Master that is copying Call of Duty Vanguard. That is what I call talent. Both of these are the same game, except Modern Combat is modern and has a bit more content when it comes to maps and guns. So at least there's an attempt of bringing a little content to that game, but the point still stands with it literally being a sludge Call of Duty at home. And I'm sure there are people out there who want to tattoo this game's name onto their hog, parading around saying it's the greatest game ever made. I don't really care about that. Don't reside your self-esteem in a video game, especially one that is shamelessly attempting to clone something else, trying its darndest to siphon money out of a player's wallet in any way possible. I'm just really not a fan of plays like this. It's pathetic. Come up with your own ideas, or don't have a job in an industry where creativity is at the forefront. There's a discernible difference between taking inspiration and straight up trying to clone something, building a worse version of it. But if you want to swap it to positivity, looking at this from a glass half full perspective, I guess it shows you what not to do when you're in a field that is revolving around creative stuff. If you put effort in making a game that is fulfilling and the person consuming it can see or feel an attempt of soul put into it, they might want to support it financially or even share it with their friends. It's almost like you don't need to asset flip or use scummy tactics for sustainability. Who would have thought? Would any of you buy or play these things unironically? I'd love to know, seriously. It can't just be me who wants to upchuck from these. As always, please share your thoughts about what your eyes just gazed at in the comments below. Big ups to all of our channel members who go above and beyond to support the channel further. If you want to join them, hit the join button right next to the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, take very good care of yourselves, and I hope to see you all again in the next video.